Oh shit, the countdown. And fumbled the bag already. Hey, welcome back to Cubs on Tap. I am your host, Joey Ricotta. Joining me today is Juice, my guy at Juice on Tap. We don't have Ron with us today, but Ron, he needs nights off. But unfortunately, this was a good win to talk about. An electric game. Obviously, we have the Christopher Morel mania going on right now. His on-base streak is up to 15 games. The Cubs split the series, but technically, as our boy Ron pointed out, because I don't know if I fumbled my words here too, just like I fumbled this intro, Christopher Morel walked it off and split the series, but technically, as Ron pointed out, the Cubs won this series because one of those games was a makeup game for a doubleheader. So, Juice, we are here to talk about a series win, 2-1 series victory over the Milwaukee Brewers, and this electric night that Chris Morel has provided us with this 15-game on-base streak and walk-off win. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. I wish they won the first two. You know, if you look back at this series and kind of look back at it, they could have taken all four. Doing well, though. You know, it's been a good run for Christopher Morel. It's been a lot of fun to sit and talk about him. I know that we have kind of pounded the drum on this one. But with that said, he just continues to give us moments. I want to talk real quick about Christopher Morel. We'll just start the show off this way because I think that with the walk-off win, we'll get into Kyle Hendricks probably, and we'll talk about some more guys on the team. But the fact that Morel is out there doing what he's doing, I think, is the main headline of this team right now. I want to talk about that moment, and I know you saw it because you're like me. At the end of the game, Morel's up to bat. He gets down 0-2, and he turns and looks at who? Wilson Contreras. And almost like the dad that he is to Christopher Morel, or the older brother, he looks at him dead in the eye, and I got like total like memories of myself when I would play t-ball or basketball, and you would look up in the stands, and my dad was there, and I would look up, and he would give me little signals like, hey, settle down, or hey, keep it going, push the pace, whatever. I got that kind of vibe, and I don't know about you, man, but like, if he is that important to the development of these young guys, and all of them look at that, then they should pay him. And I've flipped on that because I do believe that if they truly aren't going to contend, they should get something for him. But I don't know the dynamics inside of this clubhouse. And that moment right there, if it helps a young guy like that succeed, and we don't know what other, relationships that Willie is kind of, given to or influenced, or, how much weight his, voice sings in that locker room. So with that moment, that's the first one of like, I don't know, I want to say many, but like maybe we're just not seeing more of that. And that's how important he is to this team. I wanted your thoughts on it because I think that he needs to be given some credit for Morel's start that he's had at the big league level. And that moment was just so interesting. And it was the separation of in the middle of a game, right? We talk about these moments where you can separate them from players to people. And at that moment, like, I could see how strong their bond was before he was able to drive that ball into the outfield and win the game. And you don't get a lot of that. And I don't want this podcast to be, we didn't touch on it, because I think it's very important that we talk about these moments and we talk about how important these guys are to each other. And I want your thoughts on that moment, and then I want your thoughts on Morel in general, because I haven't heard it.
Dude, absolutely. I'm so glad that you brought this up, because that is one of the key takeaways that I had from this game as well. And it's something that's been noticeable over the last couple weeks. Like, ever since Morel's initial call-up and that walk-off home run, it was like, wow, like these guys are tweeting about his performance, congratulating him, and just like the electricity that he initially provided. But to see that with Wilson Contreras, it's really cool to see how big of a leader he is becoming, at least for one player. Like, I feel like he's a huge leader in the clubhouse just as a whole, with this entire locker room being as young as it is for the most part. Like the guys that we are looking at, the guys that we're really interested in are all the young guys, right? Like we're not looking at Jason Hayward to be, and Jason Hayward's a great actual clubhouse leader. We know that. And welcome back, by the way, reinstated. So glad that he was in the lineup over Clint Frazier after his best game of the year last night. That was just, I mean, like, well, I don't understand, Juice. I'm going to go off on a little mini rant here. I don't understand the need to get Jason Hayward in the lineup when we've seen this when guys get reinstated, right? We see Nico Horner didn't start his first game back up, I don't believe. Andrelton Simmons, Nick Madrigal. Why on God's green earth did you need Jason Hayward to be in the lineup? And I'm not saying he played terribly. He actually hit a ball pretty decently into the gap there too, which hung up and was caught in the ninth inning. But why did you need him in the lineup when a guy like Clint Frazier, who's been struggling all season, has his best game of the year basically last night, and then he's out of the lineup? How do you get into a rhythm that way? So I'm going to go back to the Morel thing, but like that just really pissed me off.
Dude, I'm with you
before
on
he does. Before he does that, I heard Juice forgot the countdown tonight.
That was me.
No, that was Joey forgot the countdown tonight.
Oh, guys, come on. How are you boys doing? I'm sorry to hop in on your
Tony.
show, but Sox on Tap just ended, and I wanted to talk more baseball, so I'm here.
Real sad over there on the south side.
We are sad.
What's going on? Please, real quick, before we even go any further with some Cubs talk, but what is going on there? I know they're very hurt, but there's no excuse at this point, right? This team's good enough to hang around in ball games and win some games as well with the starting pitching that they've gotten and with some of the guys in the lineup that are still there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not pretty over here, Juice. I don't really want to talk about it too much because I just had to suffer. I just had to suffer through Sox on Tap. I mean, I've been called out online today as being one of the most uber positive White Sox fans, which I don't know, like that's interesting to me. I thought that was Buzz's like thing. But you know, it's not good. It doesn't feel good. I just wanted to hop in here. I saw a tweet that we forgot the countdown tonight. Wanted to, come check in, make sure. Joey's rolling his eyes. Wanted to come make sure that everything's okay. Just doing quality control. And now I'm getting, back into White Sox mode. Holy shit, man. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not great.
Can I just say one thing real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Danny Mendick still on the roster after last night? I wasn't sure if he
is still on the roster. And you know what? The guy had 2 more hits tonight. That's like 3 2-hit ball games in a row, Joey. It's wild, right? Like Tim Anderson goes down in that game against you guys the other night, and then Danny Mendick comes up and he's got 6 hits in 3 games. Like
he can hit.
What a world.
Yeah, that's baseball, guys. That's baseball. But I hear you guys have a guy that can get on base all the time, and that's what Ron talks about.
Yeah, he ended up having a nice game tonight and having the walk-off sac fly here. So we're talking a lot about the moments within the game, and
I didn't even know you guys won. This is
right. In the middle of doing you were in the middle of doing your funeral show for tonight, which hey, it happens. We've done them here plenty of times on this show. And to go back to forgetting the countdown, we're just like lost puppy dogs without Ron managing the board on this show. That's we're talking about 2 play-by-play or color guys, as they call them, sitting here trying to do a show. We're learning. We're very day by day, show by show here for Joey.
I've got to say, Joey, I've always thought of myself as more of the play-by-play guy. I admire what guys like Ron and Buzz do on these shows, as just your kind of color analyst, working the board, doing a lot of this stuff, and just helping things flow and go in a certain direction. So I love tuning in when you get 2 of the same type of personalities talking like this. So kudos to you guys for running the show tonight. I don't know where Ron is. I heard he was like out partying or something.
Well, I don't know. He might have a date or something. I don't know. We are Ron Hughes, or excuse me,
Ron Hughes.
Ron Hughes. Pat Hughes is color guy. Ron Coomer and JD right now. That's me and Juice basically. We have no play-by-play guy without Ron. You're right.
Yeah, Ron. He's an excellent play-by-play guy.
We really are stuck here in terms of the fact that we forgot the countdown. We didn't even we did mention on tap when we came on though. So give us some dap there. But with that said, man, it's a great night tonight. I know it's a little different for you over there, Tony, but we've been talking about Morel on this show. It gets on base. That's the team in general. I think the Cubs are absolutely Sox on tap curse this year with the Spectre calling around. Yeah, Southside round last year. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys did that.
Oh, these are interesting takes. I should like hop on this show more often.
You should.
It's wild. Maybe we need Southside Ron on a Sox on tap, and I'll come on and cover Cubs on tap for like a day. Just cross it over, change the mojo. We'll see what happens.
Hey, maybe we both make the playoffs if that happens. We'll trade. But
this is only like my 4th or 5th appearance on this show, and it's probably like really concerning to people that there's a dude in like full Sox garb right now, like on Cubs on tap with like the ivy behind me. I want to throw up, but it's just wild, man. Like baseball in Chicago right now. I remember a couple of years ago, guys, and I don't want to throw your show too far off base, but I remember a couple of years ago listening to a show called Red Line Radio, and they said that this was going to be the baseball capital of the universe in Chicago just a couple of years ago, like in like 2020, 2021, 2022. It feels like we've fallen from there.
Yeah, we're in like baseball hell right now, it seems like, between the two clubs. I don't baseball. Yeah, we were supposed to be like both aligning and being good teams at the same time, but that never really happened. We had one season of that?
If you were to tell me in 2016 that Wilson Contreras and Kyle Hendricks and Jason Hayward would be the only 3 left on a World Series winning team in 2022, I would have thought you were nuts. And honestly, too, if you would have told me right now that the White Sox wouldn't be 4 or 5 games up in their division at the beginning of this season, I would have thought you're nuts, too. I would have said there's some crazy injuries going on, which there are, or Tony La Russa is really, managing this team into the ground. There's a lot of parallels to that. But with that said, it's very difficult to manage when you don't have, a good core of your base on the field consistently. And you're kind of, piecing things together. I don't want to make excuses because that division, you should still be, winning that division at this point. But with that said, the hope is, as a Sox fan, right, you just get healthy and then you're able to, pull it through, and then you just spin the dice when you roll the dice when you get the playoffs. That's what I would be hoping.
With Juice, last time I looked today, earlier this morning, the Sox were still favorites on the sports books, like with Juice behind it, not this Juice, but like no plus money behind it to win the division. They were minus 110 from what I saw.
It's really interesting. I think they were coming in at around like minus 125. And the Twins, I read an article today, I forget who published it, but it was wild. They're like, it's time to fade the Sox. And I mean, I don't want to steal Cubs on tap here, but that's such a wild headline. And I know you're a betting guy. Go check out Anaheim.
As a gambler, I mean, maybe that is the way to go right now. I mean, I hate to say that, Tony, but
it's rough. See, Joey, I'll say my last piece here. I'll get out of your guys' hair, but I'm just waiting for it to like turn around a little bit in the Sox to get some plus money. Lay maybe $100, $200 down, if the Twins take like an 8-game lead, and just pray for a Twins collapse, and the Sox, who have a really nice strength of schedule, just, roll it out in the second half when they're healthy. I don't know. That might just be my play. Who knows? I mean, at this point, there's no signs of saying the Sox are coming back. I'm surprised Vegas still holds them in favor. I don't know what the Cubs look like in their division, but I'm not putting any money on that. That's just
neither are we.
As a Sox fan, okay, all right.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either.
Checking to make sure that I'm not trying to make anybody mad who's listening to this.
We placed our preseason bets, at least I did, to go over their win total. So I'm still hoping out that they can get over 73.5 wins, and that'll be good enough for me. They get over 73.5 wins, I'm happy. We're good. I don't think this team's far and away not going to do it. And I think the Sox, though, honestly, like real quick before we get back to the Cubs, Lance Lynn, I feel like the sports books are taking into account Lance Lynn's potential return too. It seems like, which would help obviously. Even though the starting
some
pitching
sort
is
of
like,
positive hope, Joey. Just give it to me. I need it. Like I need this Bud.
I hate that I'm being positive about this, but yeah, it's the truth.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. I figured I'd check in, just drop in because I don't get the opportunity to do this very often. But you guys are rock stars. Ron's a rock star. It's always awesome tuning into you guys and hear you guys cover your team, even though I hate them. I know you guys mentioned OnTap Sportsnet. Both of these guys do excellent work for OnTap Sportsnet, OnTapSportsnet.com. So, guys, I'll let you get back to your show. Just figured I'd check in, say hello, maybe have a little crosstown talk, and I feel like we did that. So I'm gonna get out of here, go probably down another 6-7 Budweisers, think about that White Sox loss, and let you guys get back to what you're doing. So cheers to you boys.
Cheers, Fred. There's a game tomorrow. Don't worry about it. They live to play another day.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that one again. So hopefully it's a win. All right, later, guys.
See you, buddy.
Later, Tony. As we get back here to the Cubs talk, it's great of Tony to hop on here for a minute. I do want to get back to Christopher Morel as we kind of talked about for a second. We need to continue riding this high, right? Riding this Christopher Morel wave of like, dude, he is just, a 15-game on-base streak to this point. Like Ron always says, why do we like Christopher Morel? Because he gets on base. And I'm seeing other people starting to tweet that out now. So, hey, cool of them to start pushing that a little bit, but it's the truth, man. He's like extending his own on-base streak to this point. And like you said with Wilson Contreras in that moment, you could definitely see once he turned around and he asked, or Contreras basically told him, hey, take a breath, relax, kid. Well, I know this is a big moment. I know that you want this more than anything, because you could just tell the type of player that he is as a 22-year-old. And you mentioned it on the last show with Ron. This kid is 100% a try-hard with talent. Like, he is giving max effort, 100% effort all the time. What is he up to now? 6 stolen bases, I believe?
Around there, yeah. I mean, and he takes the extra base anytime he gets a chance.
Yeah, I mean, he created that pressure, forced that first run by being aggressive, which we could talk about the two plans that the Cubs have had all season, right? Like, whatever you want to say, the base running miscues getting thrown out on the bases. We even saw it tonight with Nico Horner at first base getting picked off. We've seen them get caught stealing. But Morel's been that guy at the top of the order with the speed and the power that he has and the at-bats that he's giving the Cubs right now. These 2-strike counts, laying off that pitch tonight to be able to get on, or to be able to get that sac fly after that with a 1-2 count, I believe, laying off that 0-2 pitch down, that was huge, man. That is a difficult pitch to lay off, and he's showing so much poise up there in the box, like 2-strike counts from a guy that, by all accounts, the scouting report on him was he will swing and miss. He'll strike out a little bit. And we have seen some strikeouts, but not when it matters, Juice. When it matters, this guy is showing stones, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's almost like the professional approach, right? He takes that breath after looking at Willie. He gets back in. He obviously, like you said, he takes that hard changeup that's low and away that, let's be honest, we've watched Javi Baez swing at that baseball over 1,000 times in his career. Yep. And with how free swinging-ish I thought Morel would be when he came up, he hasn't been much of that. He's been pretty disciplined, which means when he lays off of that, he then gets the pitcher back in the top part of the strike zone, is able to, just get something out there. And it's just amazing to me, the success that this kid is having. And I wonder too, how much longer is it till we're seeing Cub hitters doing that extra breath thing, right? Like, right. You remember back in 2015 when they would rub the helmet and, they had all these different things, during the 2016 run with the Rocky when they were down 3-1. Like, it's things like that like build a baseball culture and a locker room. And that's just so fun. Like, and I think that if it's working for him, like some of these guys may look at it as like, hey, why not? I'll take deeper breaths in there. I'll show some more emotion, like, and I said this on the last show, not every person is going to be like Christopher Morel, who comes up and plays on this team. The type of guy who's constant motor, never, a dull moment or anything like that when he's on the field. But it's interesting to see like the contagious effort that he brings each night. And, you talked about him, resulting in that first run. He did it again, I think, last night too, where he caused a throwaway and the Cubs ended up taking extra bases and ended up scoring as well. This kid's a really aggressively calculated base runner. And I think that's the best way to put it, because at some points, they talk about Nick Madrigal being just aggressively bad or just being a bad base runner, right? Like that's always been his MO. But this kid's come up and he's young and he's learning, but he's like taking chances at the right times. He's taking the extra base against guys who, don't throw as well, or ranging out of their range and having to turn. So he's getting that extra 2 steps. So he beats the play. It's little things like that take so long for baseball players to learn. And I think he is definitely benefiting from the fact that he's been in the Cubs system for so long. I mean, he's probably learned these things, and these, scenarios are coached so well at extended spring training. The Mesa site when they're down there, high A, low A. He was down in Tennessee there and at AAA. They're teaching these things, picking up the baseball off the bat and knowing when to take that extra base. But I just love how he plays, man. Like even that ball that he didn't get to today, and he ends up in the ivy, goes off the wall, and they end up throwing the guy out at the plate. He ranged from, he just came out of nowhere. His closing speed in the outfield, I thought would be, I didn't know much about it because I've always thought that he played third, and his ability to play the outfield is a lot better than I thought it'd be too. He has a lot of attributes that he's able to, throw out there. We talked about, a lot of these guys being like the Swiss Army knife, being able to do things in their, like within their game to get them more at bats, being able to play extra base or extra positions, being better base runner. So it gets them a chance to, pinch run, being that guy that it comes off the benches is able to hit in a pinch hit spot too. There's so many different ways to carve out your niche on a roster and stick there. And I think that this kid has so many different tools that kind of are just, they just need to be honed in, right? Like there's just certain things in his game that if he's just developed more at the major league level, we'll look at this kid and go, man, like they found a diamond in the rough. Who was talking about Christopher Morel? Like, beginning of the season, he's not in the top, 15 prospects that this is in this system. He's what we talked about as an appetizer when he first, came onto the team and had his first home run. And all the success, if this is the beginning of the dinner service, like shit, man, like how good is dinner going to be?
Oh man. I was going to say, you guys have been talking about these appetizers lately, and you're getting me, not only like is my mouth starting to drool with what could be coming here in a little bit, but like I'm getting just super hungry, man. Like look at these guys. If they have the hunger, even half the hunger of what Christopher Morel has shown to this point, and like you said, they're carving out, if they can carve out a spot on this team, even if they're like an appetizer type of player too. And then you have the real meat and potatoes coming up. I mean, our guy Scott and Ron, obviously Ron Lewis, they're talking about DJ Hertz tonight and what he did at South Bend today. Career high 12 strikeouts in 5 innings. Man, DJ Hertz, man, he's looking great. Just outstanding stuff. That's one of those meat and potatoes guys, right? Because I want to kind of transfer this back to the pitching just a little bit too, as we're talking about Hertz's performance. But Kyle Hendricks tonight, I don't know about you, Juice, but I'm finding myself not really caring anymore when he's on the mound. It's just like, whatever. Like, and I hate to say that because I love Kyle Hendricks, but I'm just like, when they got those 2 runs in the first inning, right? It's, to me, I'm like, they didn't get enough because they had a chance to really stick the fork in them, especially with with Alexander making his debut tonight, MLB debut. You could have gotten him out of there early. I felt like we'll talk about Alfonso Rivas in a second, but I felt like there was a missed opportunity there, and he's been scuffling lately. But I just felt like Hendricks, for the most part, the way he's been pitching and giving up bombs this season, I didn't feel safe about them leaving that first inning and it turned out like, we had a tie game and we had to walk it off. You know what I mean? Later on in extras. So it's like, I don't know. Give me your thoughts on Hendricks real quick. And I know we've been talking about this quite a bit this season. So I don't know. What do you think about Hendricks and tonight?
I think that in a lot of ways when he's off, how bad it can get, because he just doesn't have the velocity if he's not hitting his spots, it's a problem, and I think that's what kind of drives I just don't care he's on the mound. And I also think too that when Cub baseball starts to turn, and by turning, I mean from, hey, you're not contending to win a World Series anymore, I think we all understand that if Kyle Hendricks is anywhere within your top 3 of your playoff rotation, you probably don't have a good shot right now, right? He's just not pitching at that caliber that he did, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I always thought that like he would always be somebody who ages well, considering that he doesn't throw hard, but maybe we were wrong. Maybe as he goes, he loses less of that command. And when he does that, he has to be, throwing harder, which he won't be, and that's the hard part about watching his starts, is because like when it's bad, it's bad. And I think too that like we've gotten really excited over the thoughts of these prospects. We've gotten excited over watching Jordan Wicks pitch. Gotten excited, when is Caleb Killian going to throw? Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson. Like there's just so many guys that I think that have become appointment, TV for us. If it's not at the major league level or the minor league level, that like it seems like Kyle is this year at least, if they don't trade him, is essentially just an innings eater, right? Like you're not making the playoffs, but you're not taking him out. You're letting him go deeper into games and wear it if he's having a rough go in the second half of the season. That's exactly what this is going to be. Because if they're out of the run, they might as well just let him pitch, right? I mean, eat the innings, get to the end of the season, and then you reevaluate your rotation. With that said, man, like all things considered, he was okay. He was able to get, out of jams. He's always been pretty poised at doing that. He was able to get in on the hands when he needed to. He got a big ground ball double play earlier on in the game that I thought was, huge for that. But it's just a matter of, I just think that his performance for the last year and a half has us really worried for half the year. But now that we've put the Cubs in their own kind of box, right? They're not going to make the playoffs. This is all about building for the future. I think that his starts just become less impactful for us. Like if I turn on a Hendricks start now, I'm going to watch Chris Morel. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm not going to watch him pitch anymore. And maybe that's why he's kind of lost his fascination with us. And I think too, we've seen the success of all these pitchers up in Milwaukee, and we've seen, guys around the league that throw 95 and have these bending curveballs and just wipe out sliders. And I think we're a little jealous, right? Like,
yeah, we want a piece of that.
That guy.
We want a piece of that.
I want that. I want so badly for Caleb Killian to be Jacob deGrom, right? Like, how cool would that be? To like, that's appointment television. Kyle was fun because I think a lot of times you watched him pitch and you're like, how did he just go 8 innings with only giving up 5 hits and, had 8 or 9 strikeouts and gets a quality start on it. Like how did he do that?
We're still wondering that, and he did that a couple times this year. It's like where did this come from, Kyle?
Like, dude, he throws 87. Like, I mean, some of the guys I played high school baseball against threw harder than that. You know, like he was the outlier and the black sheep of starting pitching for how long, right? And now it's like, man, I wonder if like the chickens are coming home to roost, right? Like, is he just figured out? And there's a lot of evidence to say that's the case. With that said, I just hope he's able to eat innings for this year. And then like we always say on the show, he's not on a bad contract. So,
no,
I mean, it's plausible to think that he's a good 4th or 5th guy. But now, like, appointment television to us for starting pitching will be Caleb Killian. And that's 95 and bending curveballs and fun, right? Like, that's video game stuff. Like, Kyle Hendricks was that for a while.
Killian, then. Let's talk about Killian. Scott from Iowa here says Killian hasn't pitched in a week. If he doesn't go tomorrow afternoon, he is pitching in Wrigley on Saturday. # book it. I mean, it's TBD, right, for that doubleheader on Saturday, and I'd have to check and see who was actually lined up. They announced it today, the probables. So
yeah, we wrote about it. I'm sure we write about it.
Yeah, Ron wrote about it.
Yeah,
Ron. So I'll check that article real fast, and if you're interested in that, actually, you should check that out. But yeah, man. I mean, it looks like he's in line though. Like, he might as well. Why don't we see it? The only thing that I'm like wondering is the pitch count, right? Because I don't think he's gotten his pitch count up past 80, I believe, is like the highest he went. Hendricks, though, look at today. He went, 79 pitches himself today through 5 innings. So, I mean, Killian could – why can't he give you 5, right? Why just 4 to 5 innings? We'll just make that – you're going to have some help, hopefully. I mean, it's a 5-game series here with the Cardinals.
And you also – if he pitches that's the doubleheader day, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be the doubleheader.
So you'll have an extra roster spot.
My thought is he might be the extra guy, though, is what I'm thinking. I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, that's a long time from now too. Who's to say, there's not an injury in between then, or somebody is sent down or whatever, and then immediately brought back up. They could do things like that as well, but yeah, I'd love to see it. I said it on the show last night. Like, it's just time. I tweeted it. I know you liked it. I said Caleb Killian needs to be in the rotation, and I'm ready for Justin Steele back in the pen. I know I was sitting talking to you about, having the lefty and righty Keegan Thompson. That's exactly what I want for this bullpen, and I think that is where he's more valuable because I think that the splits just show that he's better in the bullpen. But that's just me. We talked about it on the last show.
Yeah, we've talked about it, and you guys talked about it a little bit too. And I agree with you, man. Like, I don't mind seeing what we can get from Steele out of the rotation while these guys are hurt, right? You got Smiley out now, you've got Miley out, but we want to see Killian. So right now it looks like the upcoming probables against the Cardinals, and I'm looking at the article that Ron wrote. Keegan Thompson Thursday against the Cardinals. It'll be tomorrow. Going to start it off, and then Friday, Marcus Stroman. Saturday, doubleheader, Matt Swarmer, who was really good in his first outing. And then TBD for that Saturday doubleheader, which we are kind of thinking maybe Killian. Watch them go like the Adrian Sampson route or some shit. Sunday, Justin Steele. So he's going to get a shot here, another shot to start. I kind of agree with you, though, Juice. Like, with Keegan pitching much better in the rotation now, it's like they keep flip-flopping. Like, when one of them's good in the rotation, the other one's not good. When one of them's good in the bullpen, I mean, they both have been good in the bullpen, but then the one gets the opportunity to start the rotation, then they start struggling. Keegan's just been good all year, whatever role he's been in for the most part. So you might as well just let him stick at this point. I mean, we don't have many lefties out. Daniel Norris,
he's got to be DFA'd. He's got to be DFA'd.
Good Lord, man. That play with
horrible.
Wilson Contreras tonight, what are we doing, man? Just get the fuck out of the way.
He's horrible. Yeah, he's horrible. I done with Daniel Norris. I have been for, another. I think it was a week ago. I tweeted out DFA him. He's.
You're not getting anything on the market for him. I mean,
let it go. It is what it is at this point. But that's just me. I mean, I just think that like down the line, it's going to be Killian, probably Wicks, Stroman on his last year if he's not traded, and then Kyle, and then they'll probably buy somebody for that fifth spot, right? Or you're hoping that a DJ Hers keeps rising or whatever, and that's your. So I just don't see a spot for Justin Steele at that, other than being that guy out of the bullpen. And we faced Hader how many times this week, and how valuable is that crap? Like, if he could be that, like, please. And he has the dog mentality. And who's to say that, guys like that don't get paid, primo bucks to pitch, 3 innings down the line and know that when you get to the 7th inning and he's coming in, it's over, So that's just what I see. And I look at Keegan as that way too, just because I think his stuff plays better in short spurts. That White Sox series, it was like the last 2 innings of his start, it was like, hold on to your butts, man. Because like there were balls that were hit hard, but right at people.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there like, all right, get out of this, because let's get to the bullpen, because his stuff just doesn't play better longer than 4 to 5 innings, So that's where I'm at. And I think as baseball kind of goes too, these starting pitchers, like you said, pitch like 80 pitches. That's like kind of the cap, 80, 90. Very rarely do you see people going over 100 anymore, unless they're, kind of grandfathered into the, your Verlanders or, DeGrom. I'm sure gets, a longer leash. But, I mean, to have 2 of those guys that can go multiple innings, now you're looking at your starter like, hey, man, get through 5, get through 4 1/3. I can bridge it for 4 innings with Keegan and with Steele to get to my closer. If it's we talked about Braylon Marquez or Cody Hoyer's going to get a shot at that, or Rowan Wick down the line maybe, or maybe you're bringing in a closer when you're contending. But I'm a big fan of like now is the time to get these guys like at their position they're going to be at when you're contending, so that they can find they can fine-tooth comb all of the kinks out and
get settle into down.
Yes, and settle into a role. Like I feel like it's got to be so frustrating to go back and forth all the time. Just figure it out. Like let these guys
I agree.
Get into an MLB, normalcy of what their role is, and let them carve it out and stay there. Because I think that you don't tell the salesman to go drive the truck, right? Like in a normal company, like, and then when he's good at driving the truck, you're like, all right, go sell something. You know what I mean? It's like, let these guys be in their roles and let them stay there and be great at it. Let them be one of the best in the league at this and not have to worry about, well, he might have to throw me back in the rotation again. So I got to, save something here, or, I got to make sure that my mental, aspect is set straight. I get them set where they need to be. I know they want to try to figure it out if they're going to be starters, but I just think it does more harm than good over the long course of the time. Now it's fine. They don't have the bodies to, be moving guys around. When Smiley and Miley come back and maybe Killian's having a debut, that's the time to move them all around. Until then, that's what I want to see in the second half. I want to see them moved into the positions that they're going to be when they're, contending. And that goes same for Morel. If Morel's going to play third, I would hope Morel is playing third more in the second half. I know they're trying to get him at bats, but Patrick Wisdom, I don't care how he hits, should not get, at bats and reps at third if when you're contending down the line, Morel is not, at third. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially because, Morel is flexible and he can play different positions, but Wisdom can too, right? He's played some outfield, some first base. If you really want him in the lineup that bad, move him to a different position and have Morel, who's obviously to this point, proven that he's a guy. Just, have him at his solidified position. And maybe, like, this is another thing I just thought of, though, too. Maybe for a guy like Morel, because of the nature of his play style and the way that he is on the field, maybe a guy like him likes to move around. And that's possible, too. Like,
That's fair.
He might be different than a guy like, say, I'm trying to think of an example, but a guy like Ian Happ, who, yes, he's flexible, but, like, he's really taking off this season in left field, right? And he's played some center, too, and he's played it pretty damn well. He's made some really nice plays out there. But you kind of want that guy to be more, like, solidified, I think. And Morel, to your point, he might be that guy that you want to say, hey, play second, play third, play center, like just this one spot. But his like play style, he might be a guy that's just very flexible and like, hey, dude, I want to play where, because he kind of strikes me as that like Wilson Contreras dude who would be like, hey, I'll play left field even though I'm a catcher, like whatever you want me to do. But to your point though, like you don't have your head chef out there waiting on tables, like you said,
right,
with the salesman. Like it's find your niche, it's find your cup of tea, I guess, like what you're best at, and stick to it, man. Like I don't want these guys bouncing back and forth, and then like you find yourself in a position possibly where they lose confidence. Like Justin Steele. I'm not saying that he's the type of guy that's going to lose confidence over any struggles in the rotation. He doesn't strike me as that type of player. Like, and we've had him on the show, friend of the program. I mean, he's a guy that seems like you said, a bulldog mentality, which would be perfect for the bullpen though. And it's like just do what he's best at. I think he's very capable of giving you spot starts here and there, like Keegan has done this season, which now it's looking like it might become a full-time role for the foreseeable future. But just get them going on that track and don't slow down. Like these guys aren't slowing down from the minors. These guys are going to keep progressing. Your Jordan Wicks, that changeup's looking disgusting in the minor leagues. Like these guys aren't slowing down. They're being brought up as starting pitchers, and why not give them the shot when they're ready? So I'm with you, Juice. Like I want to see how this develops. I want to see how this all plays out and how they go about the rest of the season as far as constructing lineups go. Positional, where you're going to have guys on the diamond, where you're going to have guys, what role you're going to have them in. We saw Manny Rodriguez get called up today, who get called back up, who somebody said Manny Ramirez, and I'm like, in a tweet, and I'm like, we got Manny Ramirez? I was like, whoa, okay. Was he cutting off Johnny Damon in the outfield still again? Or
remember when he was in the Cubs, he was something, hitting something for like a couple of years.
Remember that? Right. Yeah. He was like was he like hitting
2014, 2015? Or something around there.
Hitting coach or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
I can't remember, man.
It was Theo brought him in. I remember it was very early on in his tenure.
I mean, that's a guy that was a hell of a right-handed hitter. Like we're talking one of the best right-handed hitters of all time.
And also maybe one of the weirdest human beings ever. If you ever like are bored and you want to watch things on YouTube, type in Manny Rodriguez weird stories, and there's a 20-minute video of all the things Manny Ramirez, and some of the stuff is absolutely hysterical. Like Manny being Manny goes way further than him running into the Green Monster and taking a piss. Like there's way more weirdness that Manny had in the minors, in his trip. Remember, he was playing overseas in Japan for a little bit, maybe in the Korean baseball league, one of the two. But yeah, man, like just weird guy, but hilarious YouTube.
I got to check that out. I absolutely have to check that out because, I mean, he was one of the most fun players to watch. And just like any story that I've ever heard is just wild. Like, cracks you up to no end. So I'm going to have to check that out. And, yeah, man, it's just good to be able to talk about a win here. You know what I mean? Like, it's good to be able to talk about a series win at this point, Juice. Like, I mean, yeah, okay, people are going to look at it. What are you talking about? 4-game series, split 2-2. We don't count that. We're not saying that, Juice. This is a series win. It was 2-1. One was a makeup game, as Ron pointed out. So, yeah, man, with that said, we are going to look ahead to this weekend. So do you have any final thoughts on, I guess, tonight's game and or the series as a whole?
No, carry the momentum, right? Going into your number one rival here, and I'm excited to watch these games. I absolutely hate the Cardinals with a passion, as you know. I'm excited to yell at my TV when Yadier Molina's up there and making an ass of himself. Right? He's not hurt, is he?
Why do you want him to be?
It wouldn't be a bad thing.
We're not rooting for injuries here, but hey,
no, we are. It's the Cardinals.
We are. Okay. All right. I'm just glad that you're on the show with me as we are previewing the Cardinals series, because I know that you can't stand the Cardinals as much as I can't stand the Cardinals. Like it's neck and neck with the Green Bay Packers to me as a Bears fan. There's no difference to me really anymore. It's the Packers suck. I hate the Packers. It's the Cardinals suck. I hate the Cardinals. And what the hell, dude? What in the world would happen if the Cubs swept all 5 of these games? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't believe it's going to happen, but good Lord, dude, if that happens, we own St. Louis. We own the city of St. Louis.
It would be the best 5-game stretch of baseball games that I've ever watched in my life.
Even better than, yeah, maybe. Even better than the playoffs in 2016?
Well, that was 3 straight games of great baseball that I watched. This one, 5 against your rival, with how much I hate the Cardinals. Yeah,
I hope they just kick themselves like 100 times too. I hope it's like it's not even just the Cubs kicking their ass. I hope they completely just fumble the bag like I did at the beginning of this show with the 30-second countdown and not hitting the button and not doing the countdown. I hope it's that level of bad, and Yadi Molina and Albert Pujols attempting to run from first to third.
Al Pujols.
Sorry, Al. You're right.
Just to let you know.
You're right.
Al,
you're right.
I'm not afraid of that, man.
Let's do this thing. Let's go ahead and preview it. I guess on Thursday, we're going to go ahead and have our best pitcher from a wins perspective and from an ERA perspective, with at least 10 games or 10 innings pitched so far this season. That's Keegan Thompson going for the Cubs. He has a 5-0, perfect 5-0 record, 1.50 or 1.58 ERA against young prospect. Really, the Cardinals seem to be pretty high on him. 1-0, Matthew Liberatore has a 3.72 ERA. We're going to see him the first game of the series at 7:05 on Thursday tomorrow. And then on Friday, we're going to have Miles Mikolas or Mikolas. I don't even know, man. Every time I see his name, it doesn't matter, right? It's a Cardinal.
Who cares?
He's got a 2.67 ERA, 3-3 record, and he's going to face the Cubs. Marcus Stroman has looked much better lately. 3.95 ERA, 2-4 record. Records don't matter. We know that. As far as pitchers go, starting pitchers, it's looked much better, man. As far as the other games go, I know the Cubs are going to send Swarmer to the mound on Saturday, and then TBD for that doubleheader game. And then on Sunday, it'll be Justin Steele. I don't have the Cardinals starters lined up in front of me for the Saturday and Sunday games, but Juice, give me your thoughts on this upcoming series and tell me how much you hate the Cardinals again.
Yeah, make them hurt. These are the games that I wish we got more of, because I hate them. And the fact that they're fun to me. They're always close most of the time, but when they're blowouts and in the Cubs' favor, I laugh the entire time I watch these games when they're up by at least 10 runs. It's great. I think it's going to be tough, because I hate to give compliments to, but Liberatore is dirty. He's nasty. He's got great stuff. It's going to be up to Keegan to keep them at bay, keep that game close. Going into that next one with Mikolas and then Stroman, correct?
Stroman, yep.
Yeah, the Cubs should win that one.
With 120, baby.
120 at Wrigley, some of the best on a Friday, right? So hey, man, ballpark should be jumping, especially if they've won, the night before. or the day before. It'd be great to see, them carry momentum. I keep saying, they won 2 out of 3 here. You won 2 in a row. Now carry that momentum. And me and Ryan talked about it. They're going to have to take a lot of these games on the homestand if they want to continue being somewhat in the hunt, right? Like for that wild card, that second wild card position, they're going to have to win a lot of games. These are the games to win before, you kind of throw up the white flag and just say, hey, man, we're rebuilding. We're trying to get through the season and see what we got. So, yeah, with that said, man, like, just beat the hell out of them. I hate the Cardinals. I can't stand their fans. I can't stand the red. It's gross. Cardinals are just not my thing. Birds, I can't say enough about that city, man. Like, it was literally built on a dump, and their greatest asset to it is a giant armpit in the middle of their city. So yeah, man, like St. Louis sucks. The Cardinals suck. Beat the hell out of them. I could care less how you do it. Just do it. Win by any means necessary, because these are the ones that we'll think about when we didn't make the playoffs, but we beat the Cardinals 5 in a row. How great would that be? Something for us to talk about, something for us to put a feather in our cap alongside the Christopher Morel days, the Hughes, success, all these other things that we've kind of seen over the course of the season. This would probably be, it would be number 1 if they were able to take all 5 of these. I hope you're right. I hope it happens. But with that said, man, like, just beat the hell out of them by any means necessary.
Yeah, whatever you got to do, get the job done. I don't have a whole lot more to add than that, because all I want to see tomorrow, Matthew Liberatore on the mound, Clint Frazier back in the lineup. Please, put Clint Frazier back in the lineup. I want to see what he can do, dude. I just want to see what he can do. If what we thought in the preseason, what could happen here in spring training, right? Like he was hitting pretty well in spring training, and then he struggled out of the gates and wasn't able to, obviously with the injury, he wasn't able to really find his rhythm. And then thanks to Ross or whoever the hell made that decision, and who knows, maybe like Frazier, because he had the rehab stint and he hasn't played many games, maybe he needed a day off. They were trying to limit his games played at this point coming back. And that's possible, right? We don't know. There's possible that he just needed the day off today, but it's frustrating to me. And I just, like you said, dude, I just want to see the Cubs kick the shit out of the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't care how you do it. I really don't. I don't care if it's a pass ball and you win by 1 run on a walk-off pass ball. Yadi Molina. Actually, that would be fantastic. A Yadi Molina pass ball to end the game, walk-off style, Christopher Morel scoring and just going ape shit nuts behind home plate. That would be fantastic to me. Yeah, Matthew Liberatore, man, the lefty against Clint Frazier. I like it. I like that matchup. That's who I'm going to go with for my Fly the W pick for this series. It's going to be Clint Frazier. Juice, who do you got for me? And we'll kind of collab with Ron and get his pick as well, because he obviously is not on the show, but and I'm sure he'll tweet it out, or we'll tweet it out from the Cubbies on Tap account at Cubbies on Tap. But Juice, give me your pick for the series.
The Morel train keeps rolling, baby. High end games here, division rivals. He'll be turned up to 11. Let's hope that that's the amount of runs that the Cubs are putting up on the Cardinals this weekend per game.
I love it. They're going to need 9-1-1 Juice after 11 runs. Let's get it. That's pretty much all I got for today. I don't know if you have any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up, but we've already been going for a while. We had a special guest hop on here, the man himself, Tony, at Tony on Tap. So, obviously, if you want to check out any Chicago sports content, you can go to ontapsportsnet.com, where he's running the show for that. And OnTap Sportsnet, at OnTap Sportsnet on all social media platforms. You can find Juice at Juice on Tap. You can find me at Joey Knows Nothing without the G, ends in IN, because that stands for win, baby. Ron at Loose on Tap. All of our other great contributors at Cubs on Tap, and Bulls, Blackhawks, Bears, Cubs, even the White Sox, like Tony was talking about. He had to spoil it a little bit, but they're in a sorrow mood right now. So I mean, it's okay that he was talking White Sox. I don't think that made us feel bad right now.
No.
So yeah, and then obviously at On Tap Bets for betting content and On Tap Golf for Jack Bushman's doing a great job holding down the fort right now with that. So what do you say, Juice? With that said, let's get out of here the only way we know how.
Fuck the Cardinals.
I'm gonna go ahead and do the same exact thing. Fuck the Cardinals. Let's go.